Message in a bourbon bottle.
Welcome back to another episode of Message in a Bourbon Bottle. I'm Chad Watson. Hopefully by now I don't have to keep saying that. You should be able to tell the difference between me and the other Chad. But if not, I'm Chad Watson. So this is going to be a two-part episode where there are two questions. So I'm going to do mine. He'll pop in later and do his. And if you would like to submit a question in a bourbon bottle, you can do so in the comments. But please start your comment with Message in a Bourbon Bottle, question. Or you can submit it to itsbourbonnight@gmail.com. And please make the subject Message in a Bourbon Bottle, so we know that you're going to ask us a message in a bourbon bottle. All right, so let's get that question. Oh, look at this. We have a bottle of Buff Russells. It's rolled up a little too good. So this comes from John on Patreon. Thank you, John, for your question. We appreciate that. I was at Augusta Distillery yesterday, and I discussed the whole Buff Turkey thing in the 15 year. According to them, all the bottles say they were distilled and aged in Bardstown, so legally they can't be Buff Turkey if what we know about Buff Turkey is accurate. They would legally have to say Frankfurt as a location of distillation, or at least Kentucky. Maybe a convo about that. So once again, thank you, John, for that question. So sometimes with transparency, you can be overly transparent, and that might hurt or hinder a brand or what's on a bottle. So technically, you do not have to put the city of distillation on there. The state is just required. So by them having Bardstown on the bottle, it's not illegal. There's nothing legally saying by the TTB that you have to say what city it was made in, just what state it came from and what city it was bottled in. So as long as their bottle says distilled in Kentucky, which it does, and as long as it says bottled in Augusta, Kentucky, or bottled in Kentucky, they're completely fine. But that's one thing about Buff Turkey, though, is there were several brands when it first came out that were putting Lawrenceburg on there because a lot of people thought it was Wild Turkey. And I'm not going to call any brands out, but there's about 4 or 5 that I can name off the top of my head. But those brands have since rectified that, and now they just put Kentucky on there. That is one thing about saying the city. Sometimes, who these people are buying barrels from, the brokers or even the distilleries themselves, won't always give accurate information. So the person putting into a spreadsheet, they're kind of just there to punch numbers and send out emails to brokers and whatnot, so those barrels can get sold so that everyone can make their money. There's really nothing tying anyone down to say, hey, this has to say Frankfurt or Lawrenceburg or Bardstown or Owensboro. None of that. It just has to say distilled in Kentucky and the city it was bottled in and the state it was bottled in. And of course, who bottled it. But just like the Jim Beam that came out during the pandemic, and like right now there's a bunch of 18-year-old, I can't say, but it's 75-21-4 from Bardstown. That's hitting the market. We're about to see a lot of that. So some of those might say Bardstown, some of them might say Frankfurt, but that is, like I said, sometimes being too transparent can kind of hinder you and cause confusion. So John, yes, they probably should have changed it on their label, but it's not illegal and there's no wrongdoing there. They might just not have wanted to pay more money to print new labels, and I can't blame them as someone who works in the whiskey industry for a whiskey brand and business. If that's the worst thing that happens, then it's okay. That's not the end of the world because it's still legal, life goes on, and it's still good bourbon. But that's where we better leave it. I think that kind of resolves that question, at least for me. I could go in and talk about Buff Turkey for a couple hours, but Chad Perkins doesn't want me to do that because he has a question to answer, so pass along to him.
Tag out. All right, everyone give it up for Chad Watson and his great answer there. Before I get my message in a bourbon bottle, want to hit pause, tell you about our home on the internet. It's whiskyambitions.com. It's where you can get the hat and t-shirt that I'm wearing. Normally we have Glencairns. We're not drinking in this. Maybe we should in the future because that would make answering questions easier. But you can also get lots of t-shirts, hoodies, bottle cut candles, challenge coins, more always coming soon at whiskyambitions.com. Normally Chad takes this part, but I'll give it a go. You can also, one of the best ways to support us is through patreon.com/itsbourbonnight. That's where you can participate in polls that help shape episodes. You get first access at our barrel picks. You can even go on a barrel pick with us. You also get another round with Chad Squared and much more at patreon.com/itsbourbonnight. We'll be right back after this. And welcome back. Let's go ahead and get that message in a bourbon bottle.
I hope that we get your message
slower. Oh, here it is. I can reach it. Oh, it's in a Booker's bottle. 2016-02. I don't think that's germane to the question, but we'll see. All right, I'm going to toss this off screen. Hey, it worked. All right. Yeah, a little hard to read sometimes. Okay. The question is, are you still chasing the multi-release yearly releases like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Bookers? I know Original Recipe Chad. That's me. I came first. I'm the Original Recipe. Chad's Extra Crispy. Loves to have his verticals complete, but when does the chase end? Is the juice still worth the squeeze and the shelf space? And that comes from Anthony I, better known as Joey Tony Bag of Donuts on Patreon. Thank you, Joey Tony. Tough question. As you can see around me and not see, there's even more space and bourbon bottles everywhere around here. Space is an issue. I feel like it's an issue for a lot of us. That's how we develop floor whiskey, stair whiskey. Oh, stair whiskey. I feel like that's one notch worse than floor whiskey. Because, yeah, you can kick a bottle on the floor, but you kick a bottle on the stairs and it's rolling down the stairs. And hopefully they're carpeted stairs. If they're wooden, you might be having a mess to clean up. So space is definitely an issue. The question at hand, though, what was the question? It was about something. Yeah. It was about chasing verticals. When is the juice not worth the squeeze? Love that reference. The Girl Next Door, early 2000s movie. I forget the actress's name or the actor. I forget everyone involved. But for me personally, doing this bourbon night, my collecting would be much different if I did not have a channel. I wouldn't chase the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof verticals. I wouldn't chase the Booker's verticals because I wouldn't feel the need. I feel the need to do that for you all, for science, for best of the year contentions. The thing about Booker's, and I think Booker's is one that stands out the most in this question, especially is the juice worth the squeeze part. With Booker's, and especially with the price increase, I don't feel like just any old Booker's can be worth it sometimes. Now, normally we experience out of the 4 releases of Booker's a year, there's one that really shines and is worth it. But is it worth paying what would probably end up being just north of $400 for those 4 bottles in a year to find that one bottle that really shines? I don't feel like it is. Luckily, there's, not all heroes wear capes, and there's Whiskey Tube reviewers out there who will let you know what they think is the best expression of the year to go out and find. So you're welcome, I guess. I don't know. No, we get to drink whiskey for fun and for a job sometimes. So that's excellent. So to answer your question, no, it's not really worth the chase. Now there's a completionist in me. I have a collector's personality. I've collected lots of things: matchbooks, Hot Wheels, coins, stamps, comic books, bourbon bottles. And I'm the type of collector, and I've said this before, I don't want just the most expensive and most chase bottles on my shelf lined up in a line with little lights shining down on them and none of them are open. I want that $12 bottle of, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 36 months old, but it's a label that I don't have. I want to have everything in my collection. So the completionist in me is like, I need to have all 4 Bookers. I need to have all 3 Elijah Craig Barrel Proofs and Larcenies and both of the Old Fitzgeralds and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But financially, no, it doesn't make sense. And unless you just really find every Booker's release to be excellent, then I don't feel like it's worth trying to get them all anymore. And there's only 4 now. There used to be 6. Remember it was 6 a year? Wow. So, in conclusion, we get them because we kind of feel like we need to let you all know about them and to get that best one of the year. And if it's worthy, put in the blind best of the year contention, which some years it is and some years it's not. Well, there we go. Thank you so much. Again, if you would like to send a message in a bourbon bottle, as Chad said in the very beginning, gmail.com. Itsbourbonnight@gmail.com. please put in the subject line message in a bourbon bottle or comment down here, but start it with message in a bourbon bottle, and then your question. And hopefully we will get to it. Patrons, of course, get first access, getting their questions answered, because that's one of the benefits of Patreon. But that's where I'll leave it. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to us already, you can do so by clicking. I'm going to put it right up here. There's suggestions of other videos down here. Hope to see you over there in one of those. Hey, thanks, Chad.
You're welcome.
And until next time, drink more bourbon.
Hope that we get your message in a bourbon bottle. Yeah.